Hey guys, my name's Dan. Maybe you stumbled across my website. You were looking for some information on some a backup issue you were having. Maybe you searched me in Google. You probably found maybe you're searching for something for networker or net backup. I seem to get a lot of traffic, generally from people who are uh, searching on an error message that I probably captured somewhere on a page for an issue that I had addressed in the past. Anyway, right now I'm in the process of getting more familiar with Amazon Web Services. So as part of that, I like to do this to crystallize knowledge, and the best way to do that is to share knowledge. So I'm right now I've been doing some training with AWS, and I'm going to share a little bit about what I learned today, just around Amazon Web Services, specifically the Amazon Simple Storage Solution Service, Amazon S3. So what I can tell you is that what I learned today that Amazon has been around for quite a while. Originally, S3 was one of the very first services, or it was the very first service that AWS introduced. Yeah, introduced in 2006. Amazon Web had been around for a little bit before that, but this was the first service that AWS introduced. It's basically like I said, it's Amazon. It's a simple storage service. It's data storage in the cloud. It's internet accessible data storage. So you're going to be able to access this through HTTP and HTTPS. What else can I tell you? Unlimited bucket size. When you're working with S3, you're working with the concept of buckets, which is like a drive on your computer, and you can upload stuff, you can put it there, you can name it things, and you'll be able to share that bucket out and make it accessible. The max file size, and now this is a limitation of the maximum size. It's an unlimited bucket size, but the maximum size, a single object within S3 that you can have, is 5 terabytes in size. So that's kind of interesting. What else can I tell you? Something that's kind of interesting that I learned in my training was that this isn't a file system. Now, what do you mean by that? Specifically, it's not like a structured file system. Well, I mean, it is. You can create folders and stuff, but we'll talk more about that later. But it's not something you can mount. You can't mount this to your computer and create a network drive. Now, you might think that's kind of interesting because you might know that Dropbox uses S3 as its storage. And that's what Dropbox does well. It adds this interface layer and gives you easy accessibility into S3 to store your data. You know, um, but like with Dropbox and with S3, you can't actually mount a drive to your computer, so it's not really a file system. I can tell you it's got a 99.99% SLA, and and this is a metric that I thought was kind of interesting that I've never really run into before in day-to-day infrastructure operations, and that's durability. It's got what they say call a 99 nines durability. Those are a lot of nines, and what that means is you, as far as potential data loss, you Amazon guarantees you will not lose or you will not lose a file um, pretty much ever. I think right in the documentation it says something like one in every 10 million years you could lose data, which means it's essentially impossible. And they accomplish this all your data stays within the region and within the data availability zones within that region. And there's all kinds of replication that's happening. So at any given time, there's multiple copies of your data within the same region, within the same availability zone. I think I'm not sure how many copies there are, if they publish that information, but yeah, it's pretty much impossible for them to actually lose your data. So let's get into it here. We're going to let's create a bucket in S3. Like we said, a bucket is a unique piece of storage. Because S3 is um, internet accessible, your bucket, well, can be just that. It can be accessible via the internet. So, for instance, we can see I created a bucket here called Shipwreck 7. And let's take a look here. Where are the properties? We go management, permissions. We can see the properties. What else can I tell you? So like we said, this bucket has to be a completely unique name. So if I tried to create a new bucket right now with the same name, Shipwreck 7, it says it's already owned. So this has to be a completely unique name within the region. Um, let's see, if I selected a different region, what would it say? Oh, it says it's all, no, it doesn't, it definitely has to be completely unique. So since it's already owned by me and I can't create that, but if I added a 6 to the end of it, I could do that. So what we'll do here is this, we'll cancel this. Let's actually delete this bucket. How do I do that? Okay, let's do this. So we'll delete this bucket. I have some files in there, but let's get rid of it. It's going to ask if you really want to do it, and just to double check and make sure you're 100% sure you want to do it, it's going to ask you for the name. I'm just going to cut and paste the name in here because I am horrible at typing, and we're going to confirm. And it's gone. All right, so we're going to create a new bucket, and we'll upload some files to it. So we'll go create new bucket. All right, and we'll give it a name. Like I said, it has to be completely unique because we'll be able to have a link. It'll be a shipwreck7 dot, what is it? Amazon.com? Yeah, perhaps. If we select a region, we'll go with Oregon. What else can I tell you? All right, shipwreck 7. Okay, that sounds good. We're not going to create any of the properties here, so we'll just create the bucket. And there, we got our bucket. So now, what do we do with it? So let's upload some stuff to it. We can click on it and we can see some of the properties about it. But right now, let's go into it. So we'll click in it and we have some options here. One of those being, let's upload some files to it. So we're going to do that. So we will click upload and we will click add files. And let me go to my Dropbox. Isn't that interesting? I'm uploading files from my Dropbox from S3 to S3. Okay, so I'll find some pictures. Let's not put a picture of me in there, ruin this whole presentation. Let's see, dog, cats, all right, perfect. So you can select, as you can see, we can select multiple files here, and we can just go open and upload. There's some other options there. We could click next and selected some more granular options, but for the purpose of the demonstration here, let's just get some files in here. Now, like we spoke about earlier, or to indicate that this isn't a conventional file system. But what you can do is you can create a file structure here. You could create a folder. So we could create a folder called images, and we could save it. And then we could select a file here, and we could copy it, and then we can go into images, and I could just click on it and go paste, and it's gonna copy the image in there. And if I go in there, oh, where did it go? I did something wrong here. Let's do that again. So we'll go copy, and then we'll go in, and then if we right click, we can go more, down, and select paste, and it's going to copy the file there. So boom, there we go. We have our file, which is great. Now, like we said, we can make the file internet accessible. So if we click on this, we can see there's this link here to our bucket, to this specific file. We can click on that link right now, and it doesn't take us anywhere. So the key thing, I think we have to add permissions. We have to make this permission the internet to make this internet accessible. So let's go back and we will select our file. And let's see here, let's find the permissions. Permissions, okay, let's click on that. And okay, so we can see the permissions. So I have a user here that I created. I can make it accessible to that user. But we want to make it internet accessible. So we're going to go to public access and we're going to select everyone. And what do we want to do here? Is it a read access to the object? We want to read. Let's say read. This object will have public access. A little warning here. Everyone's going to have access to it. Yeah, for sure. I'm going to also select this read object and we're going to go save. And now, if we go back to our object, let's browse back, and we'll try that link again. So if we click our file here, we go to our properties again, we have our link. Let's click on the link. And there's our corgi being attacked by the octopus. Isn't that great? And so we can do the same thing to multiple files simultaneously. So if we click on all these files here that are outside of our images folder, and if we go to permissions, we should be able to go public access and everyone, and we will access to the objects, do that, make it read, and go save. And then there you go. All those should be internet accessible now. Let's just test it out. Actually, let's back up the truck here. What we want to do, another quick way or quicker way to do this, if we want to do it to multiple files, we would select, we can right click, and we can just go to make public. And then we have all of our files here. Indicates how many files we got selected. We have a warning here. Everyone will have access to one or four more of the following files. And so we're just going to click on make public. So now we should be able to go into the properties on any one of these and click on it, and boom, there we go. Oh, that's the same one. Let's try a different one. Let's go with this guy. Let me go back. Click and click and boom. Success kit. Awesome. Now within the bucket, you can actually also change the class of storage that you have. So you can click on a file or a folder if you had created one, and you can select, let me get my window going here. Select this file and we'll go to, where is it? Change storage class. And then you have the option you can use standard, standard IA. IA is used for long-lived, less frequently accessed storage, and also reduced redundancy storage. And I think there's different pricing depending on what you choose there. So we talked a little bit about using S3 as a hosting service because we can, like we discussed, you can make all these are internet accessible via HTTP and HTTPS. So what do we do? Let's do this. We're going to select a file here, and we will then, actually let's back up. We'll go up a level, and we're going to go with the bucket. See here, we'll select the bucket, and then we will, what options do we have here? We can delete a bucket. We can go to properties, management, permissions. Let's go to management. Okay, and here are some of the options here. We can expire options, automate. No, this isn't quite what we want. Let's go to permissions. Nope. Let's go to properties. There we go. Okay, so let's find the static web hosting. So we're going to enable this. So we have an option here. This is going to be our endpoint. This is going to be what we'll use our link. So what we could use this for is, say, on your web host, you're going to have an index page. We don't have an index page in our example, so we'll just mimic one. So we're going to, what we'll do is here, we'll say use bucket as a web host, and then we will put in the name of our file. So 1 second here. Just going back to my other window here. And so we'll put in the name of our index file. So we'll use, I really wish I would have named these files something more friendly, user friendly. So we'll name this file .jpg, and then an error document. I don't really think we have to do anything here. And let's go save. Okay, so we're in here. This is our endpoint. So now we've entered this file name. So if we select our endpoint now, if this was our index page, boom, this would bring us to our web page where we could then browse our site and do whatever we want. So lots of interesting things here. If we just click on a file, if we go to properties, we have options like we saw earlier. We see some options around versioning, permissions, and management. What else did I want to show you? Where is the encryption? It's somewhere here. So if we click on a file, let's do that. So we click on a file here, properties pops up, we go to properties. Yeah, so we could enable encryption on specific files or folders within S3. So yeah, that's S3. So what did we do? We went through creating a bucket. We talked about the importance of the unique name, uploading files, making the files public, internet accessible, editing the permissions on multiple files at a time, and enabling S3 for web hosting. So, hope you guys learned a little bit. It was definitely good for me to crystallize some of this knowledge. And yeah, sadly, I'll be posting more of these videos because, yeah, it looks like it's time to upgrade the skills. So excellent. Thanks for watching. Bye.